Well, good evening, good afternoon. I don't know what it is that where you are. Whatever it is, I hope it's good. And welcome to the Punk for the Homeless Desert Island Vids. I'm getting good because I remembered the whole title. And with me today, I have Jeremy Goldstein. And that's all I'm going to say about Jeremy at the moment because I'm going to let the gentleman introduce himself. Hello, Jeremy.
Hello, Alan. Hello, everyone. How are we doing?
Well, that's a good question, isn't it? How are we doing?
This is the question, isn't it?
Is that the question on everybody's mind, do you think, at the moment?
I would think so. Yeah. I think it's. I'm going to hazard a guess and say, yeah. How is everybody doing? Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to make the best of a bad situation. And what can I tell you about myself? Well, as you know, my name is Jeremy, and I'm a theatre producer. I'm an artist. I'm an activist, performer. I have a show which I've brought to Doncaster a couple of times called The Truth to Power Cafe, which we've done twice at Cast, and Alan, you yourself have been in it, which has been great, so thank you for that. During the course of the show, we invite people to come and work, perform, speak in the show with me and respond to the question, who has power over you and what do you want to say to them? And so far, we've had about 300 people taking part in the project. I've done it all over the world. We've been in 4 countries. And just recently, and in response to COVID-19, we launched a digital platform where people can send us their 1-minute videos in response to the question and or what they would like to see in a post-COVID world.
That's right. And that's where we actually met each other, wasn't it? In Doncaster at Cast.
That's right.
I was doing some drama workshops with the National Theatre, and they got in touch with that group, and we got in touch, and we came down and done a bit for the Truth to Power, and it was great fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. No, I mean, it's very rewarding, isn't it? Like, it's a chance to just say something out loud, I think. And when you're doing that sort of in front of a live audience, it just takes on a whole other meaning, and it's a chance to express your kind of subconscious in a way, I think.
And it is, and it's a great idea for theatre too. To actually not make them with a whip or anything, but they become the show.
That's it. Yeah. No, I mean, we put a lot of trust in everybody. I mean, anybody who comes into that space, be it audience, participants, Jen, the director, myself, Sarah, photographer. I mean, there's an enormous amount of trust between us, and I think people really rise to that. So it's not like kind of, because there's a genre called verbatim theatre, where actors and directors and so on and writers will take people's stories and reappropriate them and have them performed by other actors. Whereas we're quite different in that we're much more interested in hearing the real stories from the real people, and I feel that there's a great deal more. There's a sense of authenticity to that which you can't really replicate. Well, it's very difficult to kind of replicate that in a verbatim piece of theatre,
Yeah, it works extremely well. It really does. Yeah. But when on this occasion you approached me about the digital platform and asked me would I like to talk for a minute, it took me a week. It took me a week to feel strong enough to do that.
Because I'm glad you did it. Yeah.
Thank you. Again, the same thing. It was a very empowering experience once I'd done it. Yeah. Because it was showing me how frightened I was of what's going on.
I mean, before I even made this show, I had a fear of public speaking. I mean, I actually managed to get over that fear from making this show. Yeah. In some respects, I've actually used theatre to kind of really figure out who I am. And it's really enabled me to kind of really move on in my life. I mean, I just had a lot of Oh, just a lot of issues, which are sort of not really resolved. And I'm 50 in November. I started making the show when I was 44, 45. Yeah, my father died. I mean, we were estranged at that time, and we never really kind of saw eye to eye, and I never really had a chance to sort things out with him. Sometimes just with people, you're like this, and you just can't sort of find common ground. I think one of the things I learned from making the show was that even in death, it's like there are certain people in your life that kind of live on inside of you, and I mean, even if they're not around anymore, you can still make things can still move on, and you can still make your peace with them, even though they may not be with you in the physical. I think it's that sense of that it's been a very cathartic thing to do. I suppose my own experience, of coming to terms, with the relationship with my dad and all sorts of other stuff, that was going on at the time, around money, and there was, substance. I mean, there was lots of, abusive, kind of self-abusive behavior going on, on my part, and so on. It was kind of really through making the show that I was able to really get to grips with that.
Well, that's a wonderful testimony to the power of art, isn't it?
Yeah, completely. No, I mean, it's really changed my life.
Because when I was a child alcoholic, Jeremy,
right,
and when I did eventually manage to get myself to college, I chose the arts. I wanted to be a painter, a famous painter. If I ended up as a graphic designer.
Right.
But it was okay. It was great. It was a good journey in the exploration of the arts and things, and seeing how, looking for the similarities in life. I suppose art imitates life, life imitates art. And seeing them interwoven.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, I remember I was a teenage runaway, really. And I mean, I grew up in Sydney, in Australia, and ran away from home when I was 15 or so. Trying to get to grips with my sexuality, which wasn't so accepted, in the family unit at that time, although it is now, thank God. But back then, there were very different times. I really just wanted the freedom to be myself and to do what I wanted to do. But as life goes, you realise there are consequences, aren't there, to all those kind of decisions. And it's fine now. It's good now, but it caused a lot of problems and rifts, in the home. You don't want to live with those. You kind of want to try and deal with them, don't you? So.
Yes, you do. I don't know many people that live that Frank Sinatra song, or whoever it is. I have no regrets.
Oh, right. Yeah, no. It's easy to say.
Remember those.
No, look, it's easy enough to say, but, unless it's, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I suppose if I hadn't managed to been able to kind of reconcile where I am now, it's easy for me to say that I have no regrets now, because I feel like I have actually managed to reconcile who I am and what I did and so on, and I'm quite clear about that in my head. But if I hadn't gone through that process, then I think, sort of saying no regrets, I mean, it might sound a little disingenuous, really. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, let's not go too far down, because COVID-19 is bringing us down far enough. But it's not good, is it? I mean, even now, you can probably tell it now. My head's jumping all over this place. I'm finding it very difficult to keep thoughts nailed down.
Yeah.
But I've been in isolation for nearly, for over 100 days.
Have you? God, that is a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. So no wonder I'm going a bit stir crazy.
Yeah.
Where are you based at the moment, Jeremy?
Well, I live in North London. Yeah, I'm at home, and you see in my lovely apartment. I live on my own. I live in Archway in North London, just near Camden. and I've been in this flat now for about a good 15 years.
Oh, nice.
And you know, have my office, home, studio here is where I make all my work and so on. I've tried offices before, but it doesn't really work for me because it means I have to get up in the morning and get on a tube and go to work. So at least here I can, you know, sort of come into the living room and have a bowl of cereal and feel like that I'm working.
Well, that's managing.
Yeah.
That's working around things.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad. And I have to like this lockdown thing. Even though it's sort of, there have been times when I've really gone kind of stir crazy, you know. But you know, it's not been that different to how I normally live anyway. I mean, with the things that I've missed, and not being able to go to the theatre, that's a really big thing because you know I would go normally 2 or 3 times a week, and it's a big sort of social world for me. You know, when you go out, you always see someone that you know and so on. So I sort of feel connected. You know, so having not been able to do that since March has really taken its toll, I think. And also just food. You know, going out for dinner and you know just normal kind of London life, which you haven't been able to do. I mean, there have been times where I've gone into the West End and it's just been like a ghost town.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's unlike. I mean, it really feels like there's, you know, it's like a science fiction kind of film. You know, that film Contagion, where people are just, you know, not going out. And
it's been like that here too. I live in South Yorkshire, well, just outside Doncaster.
Yeah.
And it was dare I say it, wonderfully quiet for about a month, and it was quite beautiful, quite eerie, but beautiful.
Yeah.
But now, as far as anyone's concerned, here where I'm living, lockdown may as well be over.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's. I mean, I didn't go out. I didn't go to Soho on Saturday night. Thank God.
Oh,
I don't know if you saw the pictures, but it was it was a bit of a bonfire night, wasn't it? It was just people, hundreds of people apparently in the middle of Soho drinking and getting drunk. I don't drink, so it's not really my scene anyway, thank God. But yeah, I suppose, you know, time will tell if whether it's, you know, it's going to. Time will tell if we see a spike and so on.
And that's the awful thing, isn't it? Do you find the wait? The wait is the awful thing.
The wait for what? Like
as in time?
No, I think I can spend hours doing nothing. You know, I mean, I'm really committed to like work and you know doing stuff, but I'm just as committed to being at home doing nothing. So I find that the time just, you know, kind of goes. I mean, for instance, you know, this weekend I just spent the whole weekend, you know, on my sofa, you know, just watching Glastonbury, and you know, suddenly it was like, my God, it's like 5 o'clock now, and you know, I haven't moved, you know, the whole day. So I can. That's why I spend a lot of time like watching live music, like watching other performers and learning from them, and just trying to improve my kind of stagecraft and there's no better like tool for that for me at least than watching how other people do it. You know, so yeah.
Are a lot of your musical interests theatre based as well?
In what, like, how do you mean, like?
I don't know. Are your favourite pieces of music from shows?
Oh right, no. No, they're not actually. I mean, I like musicals, but I wouldn't say that I'm a huge fan of them. You know, I've got very, very diverse tastes when it comes to music. You know, if I like something and you know, I like it, then you know, it doesn't matter to me what sort of genre or where it comes from. I mean, today, you know, over the weekend, you know, it was when I did David Bowie, I did Willie Nelson, I did Shirley Bassey, I did who else? The Killers. You know, it's just a very broad range. I mean, today, you know, today was all about Handel and listening to Messiah, you know, which I find very, very helpful just to kind of realign and you know, I mean, I know the Messiah really well, like as a piece of work. I've been around it for as long as I can remember, and I think it's the familiarity I get from that. It's very helpful to kind of realign oneself to that. I find it very healing.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I am familiar with some classical music, and Mozart. I find him a bit of a bugger, to be honest, because his Requiem, I can't get to the end of it because I find it too upsetting.
Yeah.
I have never been able to listen to the whole piece through without breaking down. Well,
I had an out-of-body experience one night listening to that. I remember, I'll never forget it, actually. I often listen, have headphones, so I just try to get really inside the music and so on. And I remember I was listening to the Requiem Mass, and I found myself kind of rising up, above the bed, and I woke up at the end of it, was kind of in a cold sweat and so on. I didn't listen to it a lot these days, but I mean, it's a special, very special piece of music for me. I mean, I like Mozart. I like a lot of his operas. He was very radical, in his day. I mean, Don Giovanni is probably my favourites. Very dramatic.
Well, he certainly has the playboy, drunkard, genius legacy, doesn't he?
See, he didn't play the game. That's the thing. He didn't conform or, play along with the power brokers, did he? I mean, he died of pauper, which was just such a great shame for for such a great talent.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
So, what do you think is going to happen to us, Jeremy? I know you haven't got a crystal ball there, or you may have, but what do you think? What do you see for the future, short term and possibly long term?
I think that one of the benefits of getting older is that you appreciate that that things are going to pass. I don't know how long it's going to be like this, but I do really believe deep down, I'm an optimist. I am optimistic about the future. I mean, I do have hope. I think you have to. I mean, it's one of the few things that we really have to kind of hold on to. And I do think that things are going to get better. I do think the evil in the world at the moment is going to pass. History has shown time and time again that that good will triumph over evil, even though it may not be in our lifetime. I mean, please God, I hope that it is. But I do think that the likes of Trump and Johnson and will be found out. I do think there's a very evil agenda, like at the heart of government at the moment in both America and in England, which for whatever reason people just can't see what it is, or they're not really disclosing their bigger kind of ideology. But I do think in time that they will be found out, and I don't think that history will be kind towards them.
I certainly hope they're not. I've done a little study. You can't do that much study on such a huge subject, but some of their behaviours at the moment are almost genocidal.
Yeah.
And what do you do? Do you sit there and wait for it to happen?
I don't know. I think you just have to do little things that get you through each and every day. And
survive. They won't like that.
No, but I mean, there's a thing which you have to just, for yourself, you just have to get up in the morning and do something which is going to help you get through the day. You have to be true. You have to be true, faithful to yourself. First and foremost, you just have to be true and faithful to yourself. And you have to really just spend time on kind of self-care and well-being, and trying to ensure that and I'm one to talk because I'm not doing what I preach, but even though I'm trying not to preach, I'm just trying to tell you how it is. But there is one's mental health and sense of well-being is really important, and I think you just have to really prioritize that on a daily basis and do what it is that you need to do in order to get through your day. And then once you've got that down, then if there's room to try and try and, you know, engage more maybe in community and so on, then I mean that's, you know, that can only be a good thing. You know.
Well, yeah, and again, that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Trying to keep a little community together and going, and to a certain extent. But yeah, definitely with the children we help, because we're helping at the moment. We're helping a orphanage in Sierra Leone.
Oh,
There's 72 little girls down there that need looking after, and we're working with another charity called Compass, who work in the Americas, Honduras and Guatemala, again with street children. And we've just made a new friendship with a small collective in the Philippines.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And they need some help getting some masks and just basic foods to the people there, because their lockdown's very different.
Mm.
They have the army on the streets pointing guns at them.
Right, yeah.
Sort of thing. But they've been granted permission just to, if they just come and provide food and don't make a fuss about it, they'll overlook it.
Right.
So, and they're willing to do that. So support where you can.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's brilliant. That's fantastic. So no, I'm thrilled to be part of this. It's great.
Well, has it been a bit like Truth to Power? What would you like, Jeremy Goldstein?
Everything I do at the moment is like kind of Truth to Power. It's like I didn't do anything else in my life apart from like Truth to Power Cafe.
It's been a good friend.
No, look, it's been very kind to me. No, this is true. This is true. And no, and I love doing it. You know, I mean, we just everything is that just the show is really taking on a life of its own. You know, and you know, we're going to America in September, assuming they lift the travel restrictions. We're on a plane to the States in September. Although they have said to me that even if we can't be there in person, we can do it online. So that would be interesting.
Yeah.
I figure it's a really once in a lifetime opportunity to do the show or to do something, you know, in the run up to the US elections. You know, to sort of ask who has power, what you want to say to them in the shadow of the American elections. I think is a very exciting proposition.
Yeah.
For us. So I'm very excited for that. And we have a London home now for the project, which is at a great venue in the West End called Conway Hall, which is the home of the Conway Hall Ethical Society. It's a beautiful old sort of it was built in 1929. It's a 450 seat Art Deco town hall. Right in Holborn, and we started a 2-year residency there in October, so we'll be doing quarterly performances there over the next 2 years, which I'm very excited for, and hopefully we're going to come back to cast as well. Mm-hmm. So I'd like, you know, hopefully we'll be back there next year, and we're doing Lawrence Batley and so on. You know, see, I've got to know Yorkshire. I've got to know some great places just from working and touring in the show. I mean, places that I would never have really been to otherwise. So it's really, and I've made so many great friends, and it's opened up lots of doors and so on. So no, it's been very kind to me. You know, I'm very, you know, it's been a great thing, and it just keeps going. You know, it just keeps growing
exciting, yes, but also quite a lot of trepidation, I think, about going to America at the moment.
Do you mean as in like a health thing, or?
It's kicking off over there, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, well, look, terrible crimes occurring.
Yeah, shocking. But I feel that, you know, the activist in me really wants to be there, really wants to go there and be a part of it, and actually make something from it. Like if we're there in person, for instance, like I'll be sort of making a kind of Louis Theroux sort of style vox pop, interviewing audiences and stuff. Yeah.
One of our group members, Jeremy, Bruce Wright, he was there. He's been in, and he's in there, and he's in Indianapolis, and he's been going to the movements and things. So I'm sure he'll be able to put you in touch with a few people. Should you need
that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. So travel safe, please.
Yes, no, well, you know, it's still, we've got our visas, like that's been sorted. It took like 6 months to just get the visas through. But you know, I've got an agent over there. I've got a terrific agent in America who's working very hard to book the show because we think it could do very well in the States. So we've sort of lining up. We've got 3 years worth of dates coming up.
Wow.
But so look, if it doesn't happen in September, it'll be kind of in the new year. But I'm just really itching to get there and be a part of whatever's going on there for the elections, and just to bear witness to that and to show in that shadow, I think is really exciting.
Yeah. Really important time. Really important time. Pivotal for America.
Yeah. No, let's hope they don't make the right choice this time. I mean, can you imagine another 4 years of that? I mean,
don't. It's been bad enough. We were saying before earlier, weren't we? Perfect storm.
Yeah.
Let's not say it can get worse. Please, let's not say that.
I mean, who knows? It's out of our hands, really, isn't it? I mean,
we're at the apex.
What's that?
We're at the apex.
We're at the apex. Yeah, no, that's it. That's it. But no, look, it's just it's just between here, Australia, America. I mean, we've just kind of ended up with this very it's like the age of the demagogue, isn't it? Like they're only interested in the sound of their own voice. There's no truth anymore in politics. I mean, I was about to say, well, there never was, but I'm not sure if that's true. I think even growing up in Australia in the 80s, I remember our politicians then, had a great deal more integrity than they do now. Although it's different in England because you had Margaret Thatcher, but we didn't have that in Australia. We had a Labour government, and I think they really, on the whole, I think they really acted with integrity. I mean, certainly the AIDS and HIV, the epidemic, which went on during the 80s. I mean, Australia was really a long way ahead of the game internationally. I mean, we had a great health minister in those days, Neil Blewett, who was doing a lot for people, for people with AIDS. So I think, there are good people, aren't there? But they're just really hard to find.
Yes, they are, and lost in the smear of all the others.
Yeah, that's it.
Unfortunately, and
smear,
I agree. It's just appalling at the moment. It's just if all the dirty washing's just out there now, and nobody cares.
No, this is what I really find hard to understand. How Boris managed to get such a huge majority in really hardcore Labour seats, and I get that Corbyn, wasn't everybody's cup of tea. I mean, I didn't think that he would make. I liked a lot of his policies, but personally, I could never quite imagine him in that role, and I think a lot of people really struggle with that. But to sort of, that was, for me, that was no reason not to vote Labour. To switch your vote, to a Tory party like they did in the last election. I mean, I think that was beyond what anybody really anticipated.
I don't know. It's terrible, and what so much that it's led to, those dreadful scenes of the beaches of refugees drowning, and that's our beach.
Yeah.
That's our beach they're drowning on. We should be there to help them.
It's completely unacceptable. It really is. But I still think, if enough people, actually get up and say that, I mean, we do still have the power, like, even though you may not feel like that on a day-to-day basis, we do have the vote, and we can, if enough people got up and voted and said to our leaders that this is unacceptable, then we could have, a government that we could at least, have some sense of pride in. But I don't know. I mean, I read something recently, about how the Tories have wielded so much power in this country over the years, and it really goes back to kind of Queen and country and empire and a very old kind of world, kind of old England, which doesn't really exist anymore, to my mind anyway. you know, it's kind of a Brexit kind of generational thing, where you know, that a lot of choice, especially, you know, like if we had maybe younger people up in leadership roles, you know, who had who maybe have a different idea of what their future is than say, you know, some of the older people out there are voting Tory and for Brexit and so on. You know, we might have some sense of we might live in a better world. But look, I mean, I know I'm not, you know, I'm not saying that I have the answers, but everybody, each to their own. But you know, I
Why
think
don't you have the answers?
Oh, I wish I did. You know, I'd be a rich man if I
What's
did.
the point of inviting you on this show if you don't have the answers?
Well, look, I'd be, where would I be? I don't know. I'd be in somewhere like Barbados or something. No, that'd be great.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Jeremy. Thank you very much.
To you too, Alan.
Although we didn't discuss your video choices, we're going to post them up at a later date.
Is that okay? Yeah, because I promise I'll send them tomorrow.
Fine.
Yeah,
that's absolutely.
Yeah, no, I've got an idea of what I'd like to see, but I think I'd just like to. Now that we've done this, I'll just sleep on it and I'll send them to you in the morning.
All right, Jeremy. Well, many thanks to you, sir, and take good care of yourself.
You too, Alan. Thanks for having me on.
Take care of yourself.
Good night, mate.